Well, welcome to the real Miami. This is the epitome of green architecture, about 150 years before green was ever even a concept. We're at the Barnacle. It's one of the last remaining historic landmarks, true turn-of-the-century architecture of what life was like back in the early 1900s, late 1800s. So this house is built out of Dade County pine. Now, Dade County pine has an interesting characteristic. It's so dense that termites can't even eat it, so it's very resistant to wear. But as a craftsman, you really have a hard time trying to nail anything through, so you would have to use screws. Well, if you go inside of the building, you'll be able to see how passive cooling, as we call it today, was really adopted from the really early ages. You see how the building is pulled back from the water, so you get all the sea breezes. It goes through the building with these large porches, and then it goes in. All the windows weren't there, they were just screen windows, and you've got a center shaft in the middle of the building, which allows your stairwell to go up, and the wind goes through the center. It cools and draws and comes out the roof. The attic is an open attic, and it's intended to prevent mold from building up in the old homes. We're right next to the water. But as you see these ropes, they open up the louvers. So if you're a little hot and you want a little bit more air going through, you just pulled the louvers and opened up the louvers more, and you get more or less breeze as you need it. Well, you're here at the Boathouse, which is Commodore Munroe's boathouse. It was his home when he first moved down here and started life in South Florida. And this is not the original boathouse. That was actually lost and rebuilt. And after the 26 hurricane, he rebuilt it and added some novel features that we use today in construction all over the Florida and the Southern Keys. And those are blowout walls for all the low, anything on the ground floor or lower level, because this is actually the floodplain, and you get the storm surge hits here. So about 100 years ago, right, he designed it so that the tide goes right through. Storm surge would take out the walls along the building, leaving you the shell. The upper floors would remain. He's got hip roof with the chamfered corners, and that actually survived Hurricane Andrew. You see the guide wires here to hold the structure down. Again, he was ahead of his time, and it's what we use today in South Florida construction. Well, to tell you the truth, my favorite detail in this building is, it was the first time as a kid I remember coming here and seeing my very first drafting table. Munroe used to design a lot of different ships and yachts right here on site at his boathouse, and I remember asking somebody, what that was, and they said, "That's a drafting table." I said, "Oh, that's great." And that was probably one of those things growing up, wanting to be an architect and wanting to be able to do buildings, and this was one of the inspirations.